GM friends, and welcome back to FRENS VALIDATOR. Today we will talk about two projects that make a lot of wave in the crypto industry right now, which is Dymension and Celestia. Dymension just launched, and yeah, the airdrop treated a lot of people very, very pleasantly. There were multiple people who ended up with a 5 digits airdrop. So this is the reason why there was so much buzz around Dymension. And the interesting part is that Dymension is not the first modular blockchain in the space, because a couple of months ago, also Celestia launched, which is also a modular blockchain. And in today's episode, we will compare those two. We will see if there are any synergies or if both projects might even be competitors. We will have a look at the tokenomics and evaluate, is the hype justified? So let us get into it. So first of all, both are modular blockchains. If you want to get a deep understanding of what modular blockchains are, I'm more than happy to link a podcast episode of ours in the description below, where we will dive very, very deep into monolithic versus modular blockchains. But the TLDR is that unlike Ethereum or Solana or all of these other well-known monolithic blockchains, consensus and execution does not happen on one layer. So on a modular blockchain, this is separated. Like this is the one sentence that you have to keep in mind in order to understand the difference between a modular and a monolithic blockchain. So another thing that both blockchains have in common is that they both leverage the Cosmos SDK. There are various Cosmos SDK blockchains out there, such as the DYDX blockchain, Osmosis, the Cosmos blockchain, obviously, say Akash. So yeah, the Cosmos SDK is widely adopted. Also, they both are relatively new. So Dymension just launched and Celestia is fairly new, just a couple of months old. And also both have exactly 100 active validators right now. But here it comes to the very first difference, which is one, that Dymension is a settlement layer and Dymension is the data availability layer. So let us have a closer look at what this means, because this will help us to understand, are those projects competitors or are there even synergies that both can explore? So Celestia focuses on being a data availability layer. This means that if you launch a rollup on top of Celestia, you can get all of the data that is available on the Celestia L1. So the only job of the Celestia blockchain is essentially to order transactions and ensure that the data is available for all of the rollups that are being built on top of Celestia. This is what Celestia is doing. But Celestia does not have a settlement layer where all of these transactions are essentially settled. So just to understand what a settlement layer is, if you, for example, have a credit card with Visa or MasterCard and you go to a shop and pay something, then this transaction is being settled a couple of days or weeks after your purchase. So it's not a live transaction that is happening. So you go with your credit card to a shop, you buy something, and then you and then the amount that you paid with your credit card gets deducted from a bank account a couple of days or weeks later. And then in that moment, the transaction is settled. Dymension, on the other hand, functions as a hub, essentially. It's responsible for verifying proofs, facilitating connections between different chains, managing all of the liquidity within its settlement layer. So Celestia does not possess its own settlement layer, but Dymension does. And this is the reason why you do not have to think that Dymension and Celestia are competitors just because both are modular blockchains. Actually, you can think of Dymension and Celestia as two blockchains that have something in common, but there's also a lot of ground or a lot of space where both blockchains can explore some synergies, which is very interesting to see. And of course, both leverage IBC, which is beautiful to see. So IBC is short for Inter-Blockchain Communication Standard, and it allows all of the Cosmos blockchains in the space to communicate with each other and transfer value. So both of them are also IBC enabled, which is cool to see. Now let's have a look at the tokenomics, because yeah, let's be honest, DYM and TIA just exploded. For me, to be very honest, Dymension was one of the most spectacular launches I've ever seen. in crypto in terms of price action. But yeah, let's have a look at it first. So both projects use their token for staking, governance, and fees, which is very, very traditional for any Cosmos SDK chain. DYM has that, and TIA has that. On top of that, DYM also has a burning mechanism similar to EIP 1559 on Ethereum. So whenever, for example, a swap is executed or a bridging is executed, a certain percentage of DYM is getting burned, which is interesting to see. And another thing is that for all of these, they call it also rollups that are being built or can be built on top of Dymension. If you want to build one of those on top of Dymension, so-called roll apps, then you also need to buy them. So you need to buy the bond. You need to buy roll app bonds. So it's very similar to what you also know from Polkadot with the parallel chains, essentially. So this could also be one of the value drivers for the DYM token. Then, interestingly, the total supply of both Celestia, so TIA and DYM is relatively similar. The DYM has a total supply of 1 billion, while TIA has a total supply of 1 billion and a little bit more. The current token price of DYM is $7.10, which is absolutely crazy. More about that in a second. And TIA, just after a couple of months, reached a price of $19.84. All of this is at the time of recording. The inflation is at 8%. And now it gets interesting because DYM is so young that a lot of people who got the airdrop did not start to stake it. So the bonding ratio on Dymension is relatively low. When we covered it a couple of days ago, the staking APR was actually above 100%. So how staking works is it's you have to calculate the staking APR between the inflation and the bonding ratio. So the more people stake, the lower the staking APR is because more people participate in staking. If not a lot of people stake, then also the staking APR is higher, and this incentivizes people to come and stake again to secure the chain. This is the economic game theory behind this. And since Dymension is so new, still a lot of people do not stake their DYM yet. And this is the reason why we see relatively high staking APR. So if you want to still get those high staking APRs or relatively high staking APRs, and you don't stake them yet, now is a good time to get started. For TIA, the staking APR is already a little bit lower. It's at 14.82%, again, at the time of recording. And the fully diluted valuation of Dymension is more than $7 billion. And for TIA, it's fully diluted even more than $20 million. The current market cap of DYM is $1 billion, and the current market cap of TIA is $3 billion. But what we can see here is that the current market cap of TIA versus the fully diluted one, we also see that there's still a lot of TIA coming to the market. So, yeah, right now, as mentioned, we have a market cap of around 3.2. But if all of the TIA tokens were on the market tomorrow, then clearly you would realize that there is a little bit more than $17 billion in TIA and would need to enter the market tomorrow to reach the fully diluted valuation. So yeah, expect like still some decent inflation with TIA. For DYM, the inflation or like the number of tokens that still have to enter the market is a little bit lower. But also here, yeah, a lot of DYM will still enter the market until we reach this fully diluted valuation. But obviously, I mentioned it in the beginning. For me, DYM, the run-up that we have seen here was spectacular. I really can't remember many chain launches that I've experienced personally in crypto that experienced such a hype in that sense. Obviously, we had projects like Uniswap that released a token, the token exploded, but that it really went so crazy on Dymension, I haven't seen that a lot. And that also puts some pressure, obviously, on Dymension, because I have the feeling, this is just my personal view here, obviously no financial advice, and also my opinions are my own, so my opinion may not reflect the opinions of the rest of the FRENS Validator team. But what I feel like is that the market basically tries to price DYM the same way as it prices Chia. So the market, in my view, looks like it right now as if the market would try to bring the price tag of DYM on the same level as Chia. So that essentially the market believes DYM and Chia have the same value or are worth equal. So this is, I think, where we're heading to, but obviously this also puts a lot of pressure on them. And since they now launched in such a tremendous way, I also believe that there's a high expectation. But I also think that this is true for Celestia. If your current market cap is 3.2 billion and your fully diluted valuation is $20 billion, and on the other hand, if you are worth $1 billion, so essentially you are a unicorn at the current valuation, even more, because fully diluted you are worth $7 billion. This means your chain better performs to meet the expectations. So this makes, in my view, Dymension and Celestia very similar to each other, because I believe both communities have high expectations for them to succeed and ship things. So we will need to see how many rollups will launch on both of them. We will also need to see if more competitors join the market. But as of now, I'm very optimistic for both Dymension and Celestia. I really can't wait to see what rollups will launch on Dymension and on Celestia. I believe we will see a very flourishing ecosystem on both. And what's also very interesting is for all of the people who are into airdrops, I think this has also something to do with the price action of DYM, but a lot of people also expect that if they stake DYM to get as many airdrops as if they would stake Chia. So I think a lot of people still have some PST from selling Chia too early, miss out on price and appreciation, and miss out on airdrop. So I think this is also the reason why so many people stick to holding DYM, accumulate more DYM to get even more airdrops further down the road. So yeah, there's still a lot to come, and let's see how all of this will play out. But again, very, very excited about the project's future. And if you want to stake Chia or DYM, consider staking it with us, FRENS Validator. We do videos about all of the interesting proof of stake chains. We show you how to be eligible for airdrop. So if you want to support that, please go ahead and stake DYM and Chia with us. We are in the middle of both sets, so we are not very, very high. So you don't support centralization if you stake with us. Moreover, you support decentralization when staking with us, so would mean the world to us if you would consider staking with us, DYM and Chia. And of course, when staking both, you're also eligible for all the airdrops. And with that being said, thank you guys for watching. Subscribe to this YouTube channel and give it a like if this video was valuable to you. And I hope you have a tremendous weekend. See you soon, guys.